next part. This is where we kind of talked about the Edmonton Oilers a little bit.
Right, yeah.
And so we're going to coin this Dire Straits. A few teams that truly need a lot more than one round pick of help. They need some drafting assistance.
And a new owner.
I'm not going to comment on that one. So, a few teams that we think could really use some help. They have some good pieces, especially the Oilers, who have arguably the top 2 players in the NHL. They struggle to round out these players. So let's start with the Detroit Red Wings.
Oh, the Detroit Red Wings.
Yeah.
Okay. The Detroit Red Wings, they need help everywhere. I hate to say it, but
It's fair.
They do.
Fair.
It's fair. So, it's difficult. I love the pick of Zadina. I know they're getting a lot of shit for it because Quinn Hughes went the next pick. But, it was a good pick. I don't have anything wrong with that pick, but the problem is that Zadina's not playing right now. Moritz Seider, who went 6th last year, again, a very good prospect. Some guys were like, yo, what the fuck is Detroit doing? But, in all honesty, I had him at 8. So, when I saw that, maybe I'm as crazy as Stevie Yzerman, but I just think that, they have a lot of holes to fill. So I would think that, it's a best player available. At 4, the world is your oyster.
Yeah, absolutely.
Initially I was thinking that maybe getting a defenseman like a Jake Sanderson would be money here, newfound money. If you're talking about like a Ryan Suter type, like how good would Ryan Suter be here? So I like, them grabbing a defenseman.
Yeah.
Their goaltenders just haven't been very good.
No.
So again, like that name Askarov, shit. We know Yzerman likes his Russians. He played, what was it, the Russian 5 with Igor Larionov?
Fedorov.
He had ties to he had ties to the Vesternikov when Tampa Bay drafted. Obviously Khrushchev. So he loves his Russians. That would make a lot of sense to me. And then if you're gonna go forward, I'm hearing Cole Perfetti. I don't know if that's gonna happen, but shit, like you could go Perfetti, you could go Lucas Raymond, just so many nice players. So I think I would say because they have so many holes, best player is probably
their
the
best
most
strategy,
fitting answer.
Absolutely.
Versus Edmonton, where it's a little
let's transition right into that. Edmonton Oilers.
So the Edmonton Oilers, no fact, they got skill, they got good players everywhere. Ethan Bear, they drafted John Marino. I still can't believe this 6th round pick went to Pittsburgh. I don't know the full story behind that, but that's gotta suck if you're Edmonton because you're paying all these defensemen so much money and half of them aren't even playing in the NHL. So I actually like Edmonton's depth on defense. I like their depth up front, but I think the one thing that they are missing is leadership. So if I'm gonna beat Edmonton Oilers and if I'm picking at 14, I want a guy with a motor that has leadership. Looking at their left wing position right now, if Andreas Athanasiou is your number 2 left winger, I would probably suggest to draft a guy that can maybe play there or even, again, more
versatile. So, one of these Jans,
I knew it was going to be Jan. Is it Jan?
So, the name that I'm actually thinking of is Ridley Gregg.
Okay.
So I think Ridley Gregg's dad, again, who was drafted in the NHL.
Yeah, top 15, right?
A guy that, similar to Elias Anderson, who just said, hey, you know what? I don't want to be drafted by the Flyers because my dad is a scout for the Flyers. I love it. This kid has honestly made every opportunity for himself. And, I don't mean to talk about him again because he's he's my favorite player in the draft, right? No joke. But this kid you give him whatever and he's going to make lemonade out of lemons. So, if you're dealing with guys with a bad attitude on that team, you don't have to worry about Tyler Benson, fitting in that, that leadership role. You have another guy that can come and do it, whether he's playing center or left wing.
And to be honest, I think
if they trade Nugent Hopkins, right? Because we don't know if they're going to keep him or not. They have cap issues because they've spent so much money in other positions. So, shit.
And I think you've exposed a great point on there. Edmonton is really lacking leadership.
Absolutely.
That's something that could really round out their team. And in general, it seems like they need to round out their team. They have a lot of those top end guys. But, put the right pieces around
statistically speaking, Draisaitl and McDavid were 1 and 2. So, it's not putting up points.
That's not the problem.
They're just letting too many goals in. They're just so bad in terms of defense, and you said leadership. And like you just said, it sounds like this guy can actually make lemonade out of piss, let alone lemons. So, this sounds like the perfect fit for the Oilers.
Fit for them, absolutely. And so our last one, the prime time of America, the nicest place in America, Buffalo, the Buffalo Sabres.
The Buffalo Sabres or the Cleveland Browns of the NHL? I feel bad for these guys. In all honesty, it doesn't matter who they take. It just doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
It doesn't work. So I mean,
the most highly touted.
Yeah. So can you imagine like a Marco Rossi going there?
Yeah.
And like I feel bad for Marco Rossi. Like is Jack Eichel going to even be there in 2 years?
Yeah, doesn't sound like it.
I mean,
to be honest.
And in all honesty, like their decision making has been decent, but it just hasn't worked. So if I'm a prognosticator, I'm going to say, like what do the Sabres need? I think that, they just haven't looked the same when they lost Ryan O'Reilly. I think that, they need to hone in and grab a center. So I think, they may have drafted centers like Casey Middlestad, but at the end of the day, Casey Middlestad is not
your answer.
Not yet.
Yeah.
So you got,
100%.
you got to keep building. So, Dylan Cousins is the guy they took last year. I can't believe they took him before a guy like a Trevor Zegras who went 9th to the Anaheim Ducks, who just drafts so well. I digress. But, I honestly think that, going for a center here, makes a lot of sense. And then in terms of what centers are available, everybody's list does look so different. So I did mention too that Marco Rossi's ranked 9 on some lists. So, but Marco Rossi's there.
Any chance.
Jesus, Jesus. So yeah, that would be my pick for.
I love it.
For the Buffalo Sabres.
Yeah, also a team that could use a few help.
Maybe more than Ottawa. Shit, I don't know. Son.
Ooh, God, that's a.
They
that's a
also
tough
had
one.
Lehner too, and shit.
As if both of them had Lehner.
Yo,
It's
that's
like,
what happens when an
limit.
MMA fighter's a goaltender. Shit just goes to fucking shitter. That's what happened. Both places.
Too good.
Yeah, awesome. So, Mr. ThawerPower, we
what's
really
up?
appreciate having you on. I'm going to let
sir.
Siraj introduce this last segment to kind of
man.
close this out.
So far, it's been an absolute pleasure hearing everything you've got to say about the draft. So I've been really excited about that. And so I'm just going to let you go ahead with your hot takes and see where you go with this.
Beauty. So my first one is, are you ready? Marco Rossi is going to be at the same level, if not higher, than Alexis Lafreniere and Tim Stützle.
Wow.
And, call me crazy. I probably am a little crazy because everybody in their dog. If they could put money on it, they would put money on
Absolutely.
Lafreniere. That's kind of the point of a hot take. So just to give it some context, it's not like I'm like, hey, if I own the first pick, I'm gonna take Marco Rossi. But hockeyprospecting.com actually shows a higher percentage chance of Marco Rossi to be not only an NHL player but an NHL superstar.
Oh wow.
Than Alexis Lafreniere. So models kind of like And I'll be honest, like I'm just gonna put more value on a center than a winger.
Yeah.
Taylor Hall went number 1 over Tyler Seguin. He won. What was the award for like the most valuable player? I'm pretty sure he won that.
He won the Hart. Yeah.
He did win the Hart.
Yeah.
But in all honesty, like centers are just. I don't know if you could say one is more important than the other, but I'm going to say that I think playing the center position is harder.
Awesome.
You touched on it really well, actually. Just to quickly make a point, you touched on Jamie Benn and how he had to shift to the left wing. They needed a center so badly that they went out and got a guy like Taylor Seguin to go and play with Jamie Benn, who was considered a top 10 player in the NHL at the time. So that kind of gives you a really good understanding of how important that is,
That's that center role is
100%. So my next take probably would be that since Andrei Vasilevsky, since Carey Price, the best goaltender to come out of the first round is Yaroslav Askarov. You guys aren't hockey experts, but I think you probably would have guessed that one just of how
we've hyped him up so far. Yeah.
So that to me, if you're gonna miss on a strikeout, you're gonna miss on a strikeout. I am throwing that pitch.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's all I'm gonna tell you. So
awesome.
That would be my second one. My third one, which again I probably alluded to, Ridley Gregg is probably going to be the biggest steal of the draft. I don't think that Ridley Gregg is going to go top 15 according to teams because he's just not sexy enough. But man, that man is sexy enough to me, man. If I had the 7th pick, I'm taking Ridley Gregg all day and laughing at the world later, right? Like who wasn't laughing at Jarmo Kekalainen for taking Pierre-Luc Dubois over Jesse Puljujärvi?
Yeah. Absolutely,
right? Yeah. Peter Chiarelli ran to the podium according to his words. Who's laughing now?
Yeah.
He doesn't have a job.
Yeah, right?
Ouch. And then my next take would probably be that, there's a lot of consensus that JJ Peterka is probably the second best German, to come out of this draft. So to my understanding, I think this is the first time in the draft where you're going to see more than one German player come out of the first round. So there's 3 guys, Tim Stützle, who's just a beast. And then there's a guy named JJ Peterka. And then there's a guy named Lucas Reichel, who you're a Flames fan. He's Robert Reichel's nephew.
Oh, man.
Just a little stud. He reminds me a lot of Mike Hoffman.
Okay.
Is he bald? I don't think so. I think he has hair. I think he has hair right now.
I thought those guys were born bald. I thought the Reichels just came with no hair.
Give me that bet on Bet365, man. If he's bald and he's a Reichel, what's the multiplier on that? I'm taking that all day. I digress. So yeah, I mean that's Lucas Reichel, and then there's a guy named JJ Peterka who's had a lot of love. He killed in the German league last year. He's been pretty good this year. But I would be confident to say that I think Lucas Reichel is gonna be the second best German from this draft. And again, I wouldn't be surprised if he goes top 15. There is a lot of love for him.
Yeah, love that.
And then my last one, I think Jamie Drysdale is the most overrated player in the top 10 according to consensus rankings.
Okay.
So ask me why.
Why?
Tell me why.
Okay. So, hear me out, man. I love Jamie Drysdale. I hope it works out for him. But when you're talking about a top 10 pick, you're talking about a guy that has an elite skill. So, I mean, a lot of times you're going to say, oh, well, Jamie Drysdale's an elite skater. Yes, he is. But going from 7 goals in his rookie year to 9 goals the following year, I don't know if I'm buying the fact that you're telling me he's an offensive defenseman or a two-way defenseman. So there was just a play in the Top Prospects game where he batted the puck out of Cole Perfetti's, reach or whatever. Cole Perfetti ended up getting the puck back, gave it back to the defenseman, and they scored. So that just exemplifies a guy that, I mean, he's going to be in the play because he has the speed, but now what? And I think that it's just presumed that when you're in the NHL, you got to have more than speed, right? You especially if you're going to want to consider yourself an offensive defenseman. When I'm thinking of Quinn Hughes, Cale Makar,
they hold their own back there.
Yeah, it seemed like they had a little bit more there offensively. So I still love Drysdale. Hopefully Jamie Drysdale doesn't hate me and as a target on my back. This is just for fun talk, but I would probably say he's the most overhyped guy in the top 10. Hockeyprospects.com agrees with me. They have him after 11. So I'm not the only one. I'm not crazy. Okay, good.
Those are some fire hot takes, my friend.
Loved it all.
Yeah. So it's been a pleasure having you on, man.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity to be more than a fan.
It's our pleasure, man. You took the time to teach us today. So, we appreciate it.
Great fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Look out for him on Instagram, Mr. ThawerPower. You'll be able to find it all on the link below. Instagram, Twitter, give him a shout. He has fire material. Look for us on the Kaizen.
And just to keep a lookout for all of his material leading up to Tuesday, he's got a lot of this, the lucky number 7. Those pics are going to be up on Instagram and on Twitter. So we're going to get all the graphics done so you guys can keep track of those heading into Tuesday. And he's got great stuff. So keep an eye out for him. Check the Kaizen. Check Mr. ThawerPower. We're very excited for everything going on. So I hope you guys are too.
Thank you guys. Enjoy the draft.
It was a pleasure, Siraj.
You too, as usual. Paisan. We'll do this again, Nahid. Can't wait.
Sounds good, sir. I love that.
Solid.